Hey, changing it up. Came in from this side. That's variety. That brings the viewers back. Well, if you're seeing me, this means it's time for another review. And while Transformers 1 has unfortunately underperformed at the box office, that doesn't mean the toys are going to stop. Hasbro's already committed to them, and for all we know, they can be happy with how the toy line is sold. Speaking of which, we're going to take a look at this guy. This is Studio Series Transformers 1 Deluxe Class Megatron. Now, funny enough, this figure came from Walmart of all places, not something known to get things early, although I am being told now uh, it is starting to ship from Amazon for some people, and a lot of the lucky content creators got this for free in a box of stuff from Hasbro, which of course came out well after most of the figures were found at retail. Now, this is a Studio Series figure. It's meant to complement the Optimus Prime that we took a look at some time ago. Wasn't really a fan of. I think this is a much better figure, and at least in this regard, unlike Mirage from Rise of the Beast, this figure is kind of being released while the movie is still in theaters. If you remember, Mirage never got a Generations figure until well after Rise of the Beast had left the movies. So let's get into the light box and take a better look at it. Okay, now, full disclosure, I still haven't seen the movie yet, and unfortunately, I think I'm going to have to wait until it comes out on streaming because my schedule just hasn't opened up enough where I've been able to get to a movie theater. Um, so, with that being said, what I think this figure represents is when D16 gets its first cog. Without spoiling anything, it does get another cog later on that gives us that fuller, more pronounced Megatron we see down the line. Now, obviously, with this being a toy and probably based on an early concept, there are some things that are a little bit different, namely this forearm gun right here. I don't see that being accurate to Megatron at all. Um, but you do have a couple options. You can put it on the forearm there, or what's really nice is you can come around to this back section. And by the way, this cannon, this little blaster, these two lasers, and this backpack all come packaged separate in the box, and that you have to attach them. Now, speaking of these side blasters, funny enough, the instructions show on the cover holding them as a handgun, which I've never known Megatron to use a handheld weapon like this. And you can just, but they do port in the hand. If I can do this, oh boy, that's a tight fit, tight fit. But yeah, so you can do that, but I just generally leave them here on the backpack. They just plug right in, and they're part of the turret. Obviously, that arm cannon is going to stay right where it is. Now, for articulation, does have a waist swivel. Head is on a ball joint. Some not really expressive due to the design. Ball joint shoulders, bicep swivel. Now, on this arm, it is rather loose. And at first, I thought that maybe the mushroom peg was coming out, but it seems solid in there. It's just loose. It'll hold. It's just this side of being loose that it's not completely floppy, but it will probably loosen up more over time. The hips are on ball joints. You do have a swivel right here above the knee. And of course, you do have some ankle pivot. Now, one of my big issues with this figure when I first saw it, oh, and the fist can rotate, but that's really more for the transformation, has to do with the fact that in the photos and stuff, if you take a look, the shins here look a lot longer than they should be. Now, of course, having it, and maybe that's coming across in the video, but having it in the hand, it's not that bad. But I do feel this section of the leg is long, a little bit longer, and almost makes Megatron look a little lanky. But it's not too bad. Now, for the transformation,
The instructions show removing all the weapons. I'm just going to go ahead and remove the arm cannon and this little piece right here. I was debating how I wanted to do this, whether going from robot to vehicle or vehicle to robot, and I kind of feel that I'm going to go back and forth just because there's enough going on with the transformation that the instructions aren't that clear on, that it would help you guys to see it. Now, the first thing you want to do is lock the shins into the thigh, and basically that'll just snap into place at the knee joint. That is necessary for the transformation. Second, and this is going a little bit out of order, bring the arm up straight out to the side like that, rotate it around like so, and then rotate the fist so the treads line up. Then what you want to do is there's a slot in the forearm that will peg into the tab there on the bicep. And you just want to line that up using the double joints, and there you go. Repeat on this side. And that's just to really get the arms out of the way. At this point, I mean, you can bring them back down. I would just leave them out to the side for now, just so you have some clearance. Next, what we're going to do, speaking of clearance, is bring the leg out to the side just like that. And then on this inner hip joint, bend it down like so. Next, what we can do is rotate the leg right there at that knee joint. Open up this back panel, just bring it up out of the way, straighten the foot out all the way until it's slightly on an angle like that. Bring up that tread, rotate this around, bring the tread down until it soft tabs into place, and then just bring that panel back down slightly just to keep it out of the way for now. Repeat again on this side. Rotate, open up the panel, straighten the foot out, bring that up, and then just bring it down like that. Just keep it out of the way. Next, what we can do is come up here to the chest, bring the chest down, and what you're going to want to do is give yourself a little room just to like have a little grip. There's now the instructions just say bring the chest down. What they don't tell you is that there's a little like notch right there that's going to snap over the cod piece, and that will just go down like that. And then you can just close that up, take Megatron's head, rotate it around, bring it back. There's actually a tab in the torso that the head will peg into. Next, what you want to do is come around the back here and then flip this whole section up and around, bring it up all the way that the little indent that the head was sitting on is now going to tab into the head right there. Rotate the arms so that the treads are kind of facing down and lined up. And unfortunately, what you might end up doing is moving that whole panel. So just try to hold it in place while you bring that the arms down into position. Now what we're going to do is move these shin panels back. And this is kind of like the hardest part of the transformation, because the first thing you need to do is get them down. There's a tab in here that's going to go into the slot on the back of the arm. And then there's a notch in the Megatron's chest that's going to go into that tab. And basically, you just got to fiddle with it, wiggle, jiggle. Oh, and on top of that, there's another little groove that's going to clip into the heel of the foot. And that, once you get all that lined up, make sure that's straight, should look something like that. And a lot of that is, I think if you just make sure that the foot is tabbed into place, then everything else should come along. Just like that, just like that. And yes, Megatron is going to be looking upward. So finally, at this point, rotate the backpack around. Don't be discouraged if it pops off, because it does that. And now what we can do is take the little wrist gun and the fusion cannon and there's kind of a little notch underneath that will help line it up. So that's kind of nice. So once you have it like that, there's a slot here on the back that goes into the same port where the help store the wrist blaster in robot mode. But without further ado, there's Megatron's tank mode. There are no wheels, there's no functioning treads or anything, so it doesn't really roll. But you do have it like that. If things aren't lining up, just maybe tweak some of the ball joints, make sure they're angled properly. But much nicer than the Optimus Prime transformation, I think. A little bit easier. Things, I think, lock up a little more tightly and solidly. But, yeah, oh, and by the way, I forgot to mention at the beginning, again, I'm not using my earbuds. So hopefully, I'm not as loud as I've been, so hopefully that'll, not going to be an issue. But you can position the cannons like that. Now you see, looking at it this way, it kind of looks like that cannon is like the barrel is a little off center, but it's lined up with the notch. So I don't know, and I just pulled the backpack off. But blast effect, blast effect, blast effect compatible, so you can do that. Yeah, that does look a little off center, huh? Let me try. This is just me being a little anal about things. So, no, it's I mean, I don't know, I'm crazy, but, so yeah, it's nice. It is what it is. Obviously, going back to robot mode is going to be a little bit easier. Go ahead and remove the barrel, probably pop off the backpack at the same time, bring those guns down, rotate this around so it's facing back. Come in here, unpeg the shins from everything. That'll loosen up the legs. Just get them out of the way, since this is there we go. And so things can move around. Bring the arms up and around, just like that. Again, we're just keeping things out of the way. Go ahead, rotate this whole section down. Don't be upset if it brings up the Megatron head. Bring the arms out to the side just to keep them out of the way. That will snap down into place, and then this will tab into the back. Just give it a good squeeze. Rotate Megatron's head around. That'll hold. Bring up this chest piece. That will tab just like so. And now we can start working on the legs. Bring that up. Make sure to fold up the tread. Rotate it all around. Fold the tread flat. Fold the foot out. Bring that shin down. Rotate it around at that joint right there. Fold up that inner hip joint. Then bring the leg down properly like so. Repeat again on this side. Make sure to fold up that tread. That's very important. You won't have the clearance otherwise. And also do make sure and be careful when folding up the foot, because I did actually catch my finger the other night and kind of pinched myself, which was kind of funny. I hadn't done that in a while. Rotate that around. Bring it down. Then we got Megatron standing. All that's left now is fold out the arms. Rotate. Bring it down. Fold out the arm. Rotate at the bicep until the elbow joint is facing forward. Then rotate the fist down so it's facing up, that it's actually functional and usable. Come here. Separate the cannon. Now, obviously these can peg in on either arm, but this is just how I always do it. Peg that in right there. And peg the fusion cannon in on the right arm, where it's always been. And just for posing, unpeg the legs at the knees. You can just a little more natural of a stance, so you can get some more natural stances going. And there you have Megatron transformed back into its robot mode. Very nice. If I meant to mention this during the transformation, but a lot of those steps, especially with the legs folding out like they do, kind of reminds me of some of the more recent tank transformers we've gotten, like Shockwave from Cyberverse and RID 2015. some of the Generation styles Megatron. So kind of nice to see that it's being tied in there. I'm sure that was just a coincidence, but I think it does give a little bit more of a connectivity through the lines of where the evolution of the transformation comes from. So, yep, I think what we'll do now is we'll pause and we will come back with my final thoughts. While I would love to have seen a Prime Changer version of Megatron, as opposed to having very simplified toys in the kids' line, I am happy that the Generations Megatron, as I said in the beginning, is coming out while the movie is still in theaters and is still in the cultural consciousness. I am disappointed that the film is underperforming, but that's a discussion for another time. In terms of the toy, this is much better than that A-level Transformers 1 Optimus Prime. Things tab in better. It's just a more secure fit and finish. And I think it complements the figure well, but I think you might actually find yourself enjoying pitting this figure against the Prime Changer Optimus Prime than that Studio Series one. Just because you can pick that figure up, move it around without stuff flopping off, and this one is rather sturdy. Now, I did mention my issues with the shins. In hand, it's really not that bad. And I think as you pose the figure and bend the legs, the issues lessen entirely. Will we see a toy of the final form of Megatron? Who knows? I want to say I did hear that at some point there will be a Voyager-sized Optimus Prime and Megatron. But that, like the rest of the deluxes for the Studio Series from Transformers 1, probably won't be available until 2025. So really with this, the second wave of robot battlers and the possible second wave of Prime Changers, that's going to be it for toys for Transformers 1 in the film's natural cycle and release year. So definitely, if you see this at retail, pick it up. I want to say that it is showing up on shelves at Walmart. Gamer Edition Voyager Ratchet is part of that wave. So you might actually find it there find it as well as Megatron. So if you see one, chances are the other was there or is there, just have to look. But definitely, if you're interested, pick it up. It's a really good figure. But that's about it for the review. If you like this review, like, comment, and subscribe. Well, I always appreciate the views. The likes, comments, and subscriptions help communicate to YouTube through the algorithm that my channel should be exalted and held upon high. If you really want to make the ultimate sign of support, I do have a Patreon. It is www.patreon.com/ChuckDog1999. All I ask for is $1 a month and $12 a year. No thrills, no tears, no special rewards. All you're doing is helping me help you to help me help you bring figures like this to you, as well as keeping up the infrastructure of the channel. As we get closer to the holiday season, views tend to drop off, especially right after Christmas going into the new year. So any extra cash or Christmas money throwing it my way for the Patreon will really help the channel thrive. But as I always say, and I do want to stress this, Patreon is just a cherry on top of an already generous sundae. If you can't swing it, which I completely understand, your views are more than thanks enough. So that's about it. Once again, this is your old pal Chuck for Transformers 1 Deluxe Class Megatron. We will see you next time.